Hello and welcome. Later on Prairie Pulse, we'll take a look at regional artist Richard Zeitz. But first, joining me right now is the Executive Director of the Lake Agassiz Habitat for Humanity office in Moorhead, Minnesota, Shirley Dykeshorn. Shirley, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Well, as we get started, Shirley, first tell the folks a little bit about yourself and your background.
I grew up in Jamestown, North Dakota, and graduated from Jamestown College. And then my first job out of college was in Dickinson. So I've lived in a number of locations along I-94, actually. And after I worked out there at the Human Service Center, I started work in Mandan and worked at the state capitol for nearly 20 years. I also worked in for a nonprofit doing domestic violence prevention activity, and I worked for Fannie Mae for nearly 8 years, and then came to Fargo and started with Habitat.
Well, so what made you come to be the Executive Director for Habitat?
Well, it was a job opportunity that I thought was a really good fit for the work that I had done in housing, plus the human services experience in working with programs, as well as knowing and understanding local government sources and funding sources that could help deliver housing, affordable housing.
Okay, and you've been there how long now? You said?
Nearly 3 years.
Almost 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and next year will be Habitat's 20th anniversary in the community, I believe.
That's right.
And can you tell us about the chapter, maybe how it got started?
Well, it got started nearly 20 years by a group of people who felt that we really needed to have an affiliate for Habitat for Humanity. That's how the organization is organized around the world. There are affiliate chapters. You have a designated service area, and that group of dedicated individuals started up the affiliate, found funding to hire staff, and really basically started with building one house. Mm-hmm. And as we have grown and increased our capacity, we've been able to serve. Right now we're working on our 39th house. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, can you talk about what is the mission of Habitat?
Well, it's a Christian-based nonprofit, so our mission is to create affordable housing, and we do that in partnership with families that apply to partner with us. And then we offer them 0% interest mortgages. So every family that's selected to partner with us, because they don't have to pay interest, they do have to do sweat equity, and for every individual in the household, they work 250 hours, every adult, and then they do things mm-hmm. for the affiliate, helping to build their own home, attending classes, doing office work, whatever they get approved to do, and then they repay that mortgage to us.
Okay, well, that's something, because I would think, some people think that you just give the home to them, so that's not the case.
No, we don't give houses away. Mm-hmm. We partner with the families, because we believe it's important that the family have an investment and that they become good homeowners.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, now, I understand there's a project, or a Habitat Restore.
Right.
It's been going on for about 4 years, I believe, and mm-hmm. Can you talk about that?
Well, our affiliate started the Restore nearly 4 years ago as a way to generate revenue by people donating product to us. We get things that are new, nearly new, and it involves everything from appliances to building materials and supplies that they believe have another life. And by bringing them to us, we make them available for sale to the public, and that revenue that we generate it helps us to meet our operating costs. So it's a win-win in that the things don't go to the landfill. They actually are utilized by people in the community for projects, whether or not it's new paint, tile, carpeting, some furniture, appliances, toilets, sinks, cabinets, and we did this last year, we deconstructed 32 flood buyout houses. So by our going in and taking out windows, doors, garage doors, and all of those things, it kept them from basically going to the landfill, and it helped us out because people who, often shop for us or with us, they're looking for a good deal, but they're also trying to support Habitat.
Yeah, and my understanding was it's like 3 million pounds of product were, not sent to area landfills.
Yeah. Well, of course, it's an estimate that we use based upon a factor of how much material is donated to us, but that's our estimate of what we save in landfill just by taking the product
So
and
not only
reusing it.
is it Habitat for Humanity, you're helping to preserve the habitat of our land out there. Talk about some of the family. How do you select a family to be eligible for a Habitat home?
We go through a fairly extensive recruiting process. We do a lot of public information. A lot of posters are hung up in the community asking people to consider applying. And the application process involves taking all of the interested persons. They go through an orientation application session. This last year, I think we held 6 of them in the Cass Clay area. And then those families submit a complete application form with descriptions about their income eligibility, the condition of their current housing. They need to be either in overcrowded or substandard housing currently, or may have some disabling condition or some other factor that really makes their current housing situation not work. And then in that process of describing their need, verifying their income and providing some information on why they feel they could partner with us, we then ask for any supplementary information, and then we go through the selection criteria. I think we had over 100 requests for information and people participating in the sessions, and now we're down to 26 individuals for family interviews. And then we go through the interview process. We have people that go out and make home visits, and then we make the final recommendations to the board in terms of families we're wanting to partner with. And on occasion, a family, falls out or is no longer in the process of becoming a homeowner. They may be deselected for some reason, but most of the time we've had really good results in working with those partner families and helping them to become homeowners.
Okay, and you mentioned chapter and governed right there. So what is the structure then? How are you governed?
We have a governing board. We have a board of directors, and we have a lot of committees that help us get the work done, because I don't think that there's any organization that relies as heavily on volunteers as Habitat does.
With your affiliate, what area or region do you serve?
We serve Cass and Clay counties. So we serve communities within that area. We're working with a committee in Barnesville for the first time to do a build out there, and we have done a build in Castleton. And we've done a house in Dilworth, and we have this year we're constructing one home in West Fargo and a duplex in Fargo. And last year we served 8 families, and 3 of those were in Moorhead. And then we also did a 4-plex in Fargo for the first time. And then we also did a rehab home for one family in Fargo.
Okay. Can you talk about how Habitat's funded?
We're funded based upon largely individual contributions, business support. We do get some grant sources that we apply for, and groups like Thrivent Financial have been very faithful supporters of ours and providing assistance to us as we do our builds. A lot of church support. They do fundraisers for us. They contribute to us financially, and we consider what we do as a mission for many churches that help them to do good in meeting a need in the community and volunteering. The experience for any group or supporter is really important to meeting mission.
Well, and you mentioned volunteers a lot, and the volunteers. Well, let's back up just a little bit. How many staff members do you have?
Right now, 7.
So you have 7 paid staff members,
7
and then
full-time.
how many volunteers does it take to help your organization?
Thousands. It really does take a lot of people. For every house, we have a construction schedule. Every day's needs are, 20 to 30 people, depending upon what we're doing. And there are countless needs for volunteers doing the construction.
Okay, and so how much does each house cost? Obviously, you talked about different projects, a duplex, a fourplex, I think, and but so is it just case by case basis, or so is there an average of how much you invest in a project?
Well, we feel that we need to raise at least $60,000 in cash per house, but each house does vary in what it costs us for construction materials. Plus, we do have to hire skilled contractors to do the electrical, plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and the like. So the skilled contractors cost us as well as the construction materials. So it depends. The fourplex was a unique challenge in it. They're condos, and 4 families were served by that, but it was a new challenge. We couldn't have told people in advance exactly how much it would cost until the final bills were in.
Sure. Well, so you said you have skilled people, but how many volunteers usually on a project that are non-paid?
Well, again, it's hundreds of people per house.
Okay.
It depends upon what we have to do. If we're putting in a basement versus a fairly simple 3-bedroom rambler. And we don't know, like for next year, exactly what we're going to need because the families haven't been selected. So we're kind of operating on, okay, we have these 6 lots to build on. This is about the size of the house, but we base our decisions on the families we're going to serve based upon those with the greatest need and those that we feel we need to partner with. So most of the time it's a good fit for the lot, and sometimes we are looking for another lot to fill a need of a larger family.
Okay. With that though, then, how do you determine where a house goes up? I mean, do you scout around neighborhoods, and can this be a tough situation sometimes?
Well, we've been really blessed, I think, because to actually have an inventory of 6 lots is a nice thing to be facing. Most of our lots right now are infill lots, and we've partnered with the cities to secure lots, and there may have been dilapidated or housing that needed to come down. And that's the case in several of the properties. The city had, a foreclosed vacant property, and it was in bad shape, and they took it down, and then we made arrangements to secure the lot. So, like in the duplex that we're building in Fargo, I mean, that was a kind of a rundown apartment, frequented by the police, and there were. It was not a really nice place, and I think that duplex is one of the nicest spots in the block. And I think that that's what we're trying to do, is to build houses that fit into the neighborhoods and also meet housing needs of people that are hardworking families, and they have housing needs that we can meet.
Well, can you talk just quickly about how Habitat was founded nationally?
It was founded by Millard Fuller years ago, and this was a guy that had a lot of money, very promising business prospects, and he decided that he was going to do something more meaningful. And he set up the Habitat for Humanity International. And started small, and as a way to continue building. The model is that for the mortgage payments that are returned as people are paying back, we're able to build more. So one house at a time generates many more houses all over the world. We also tithe. our local affiliate does contribute to Habitat International through a tithe, which enables us to build houses throughout the world. So for our 39 families we've served locally, we've also served another 26 in other parts of the world. And it's less costly in other parts of the world to build houses, but we're proud of the fact that it's not just cast and clay where we're building, but indirectly throughout the world.
Well, can you talk about how many houses have been constructed over the years, maybe locally and worldwide?
Millions.
Okay.
And it depends upon the capacity of the local groups and the health of the organization's chapters all over the
So
country.
millions worldwide. How about locally? You said 20 years here. Any idea locally how many houses?
Well, we're on our 39th.
39. Okay,
Right.
you did say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But can you talk about some of the stories that maybe have been inspiring to you in terms of being there for families in need?
Well, you get to know what their existing situation is and the safety issues that the family may have faced. Not feeling comfortable, the kids not feeling comfortable to ever have friends over because the walls got hot when they ran too many appliances, the uneven floors, the mold, there are things that are impacting homeowners in their existing housing situations, paying too much, clearly, and you don't want to be having so much of your monthly income going to housing that you are constantly strapped. And we've taken pictures of the houses before and housing conditions before, and then when you see them moving in and the difference that it makes in a family.
Yeah, so what's that moment like when you see the family in their house for the first time?
Just lots of crying. Usually the kids, I've seen just a remarkable change in how kids are feeling about having a house where they can actually have a pet, or they can have a yard to play in, they can have friends over after school.
Can you talk about President Carter's contributions to Habitat? I mean, he's been probably one of the most visible.
He is. A lot of
folks.
people think that he started a Habitat, but he hadn't. He gives back very generously. He and his wife do, and they're actually going to be in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area for a week this fall. But he and she regularly donate several weeks of time every year, and they put their words in action, and they're working on the house. And houses, and they have work projects that they've organized for years around the country. So it's fun that they're coming close to us because people who want to work with them are excited about that.
Oh, good. Well, how can volunteers get involved with your organization?
Calling our office, going on our website, which is www.lakeagassihabitat.org. We will take your calls and put you to work if you don't have a computer, if you would prefer to do the face-to-face contact. But we need volunteers for lots of things. We need retired handyman to help with appliances and restore. We need people who would feel comfortable being a cashier at our restore. We need people to work on committees, to pound hammers, whatever.
We'll get them involved then. Good luck to you. Shirley, thanks so much for joining us today. We'll be right back. Born in Budapest, Hungary, Richard Seitz crossed the Iron Curtain to study art in America. During his 25 years as chairman of Minnesota State University Moorhead's art department, he perfected his signature brazed copper fountains and sculptures. His work is showcased across the country, and here's your chance to see it.
I start to make small sketches, what people call thumbnails. After I selected a pencil sketch, I scan it into the computer and refine it, and this is the final result. From this, I make an enlargement, what you can see here. This is in scale, what actually I like to come up with as a full height of the sculpture. After I have done the scale drawing, then I make just a skeletal drawing. This is for the purpose to create the wire mesh mock-up, which will serve as a pattern making device. Well, I born in Budapest, Hungary. The communist government took over and started to arrest lots of people, among those some of my teachers and friends. So I thought it's better if I leave the country. And I crossed the Iron Curtain. After that I came to Minnesota State University, Moorhead. I was hired as the chairman of the art department. I was holding that position and teaching for 25 years. My parents always encouraged the kind of play or experimentation when I was doing as a child. My father was an architect, and I was always around design activities and constructions. As a child, I used materials which was around, and I always made something. After I have the paper pattern, then I put it on a sheet of copper and cut out the piece, what I made the pattern for. And at this point, the copper is still very springy and brittle. It would be hard to form it, so I have to first anneal it. This is to rearrange the molecular structure of the metal. Interlocking, it is more parallel, and that's what makes it soft. The next step is to hammer out. This is the general shape of the wing. Now I have to go over a couple of more times in various ways to final shape it, but this is essentially the way it is shaped. I can use these smaller chisels, create some lines. Usually what I do, I make some guidelines for the feathers and use a chisel to make the creases, and then after it is creased, then I can further shape it with the help of a plier so that it creates the topography of feathers. When all the parts are hammered out like this, then start to assemble it. I had a student, her father was an architect who was designing West Acres. He heard that I was making fountain sculpture. He wanted to have a fountain of abundance. This is why I came up with this idea of sort of wheat type of abstract forms. As the crop grows, very often birds get into the crop, and this is why I put the cranes in it. Usually kids around, they like to put their hand in the water and play with it. Well, I'm glad to see that. Almost the last step is attaching the legs. I have the base part of the foot So what I'm doing is brazing on the toes. Brazing is material which is an alloy of a mixture of metals and has a lower melting temperature than the metal you are brazing. Food dip? No, I dip it in water because in that way it cools off much faster and I can handle it. Pieces of pipe, but I don't like to look like pieces of pipe. It's nice to do something what you like to do and you are interested in, but the work is work. So it's not always easy.
Well, that's all we have on Prairie Pulse for this week. And as always, thanks for watching.